Sports on a Tuesday, and oh boy, are we going to have a show today because I have opinions about what I watched Saturday night when it comes to the Tennessee Vols football team and the Tennessee Vols head coach and the coaching malpractice from third-year head coach Jeremy Pruitt. We're going to have a big conversation about Jeremy Pruitt on if you think he deserves another year at Tennessee, what you thought about some of the decisions he made at the end near the end of the Arkansas game when it came to two times having an opportunity to kick a field goal to make it a one-score game. We'll play the video from his press conference yesterday where he said he would have changed his mind and done things differently, but the full answer doesn't exactly prove that. So we'll discuss what I feel like the Jeremy Pruitt Arkansas game is to me compared to another previous moment in Vols history where I was out on a certain coach. Then we'll talk about the quarterback position because there's so much drama surrounding the Vols quarterback starter with Jarrett Garantano in concussion protocol, what we saw from Brian Maurer and Harrison Bailey, who should start versus Texas A&M on Saturday. And then does Jeremy Pruitt deserve to coach the Vols in 2021? Zach, I have the buyout number that is interesting of what it would cost to fire Jeremy Pruitt and his staff. And then, of course, it's Tuesday. So it takes too long, Trivia Tuesday. As we had a big-time week, went 8-2 last week in Trivia, Zach. We got to get 8-2 again today to increase that win percentage in our Takes Too Long Trivia Tuesday. Welcome in. Hope you're having a good start to your day.
Yeah, it's going to be a good Tuesday show. A lot to discuss about Tennessee. Over the weekend, another loss. That's not good for the overall program and the fan base. I think, as I've seen on Facebook and some other, and obviously Vol Twitter, they're kind of chomping at the bit to get after Jeremy Pruitt in a year that it's going the wrong direction. So a lot to discuss. Bottom right corner of your screen, if you're watching on Periscope/Twitter, you'll see those three little dots. You can share the broadcast that way. Please share the show. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. Also on Facebook, what's going on Facebook, what's going on YouTube, and what's going on Twitch. On Facebook, bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. That is share now to public. Sharing is caring. So share the show around. We need to pop up your Facebook friends news feed, and we will get this party started. A lot to discuss after the Vols fall to Arkansas after a 13-point lead. The second half, not good. The third quarter, not good.
No. Coaching malpractice as well in the fourth quarter. Let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. And like our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it all happen for our show, for our business, and you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness. We were there yesterday. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. The Tucker Agency, Nashville's independent insurance agency, giving you relief at tuckertn.com. Calvin and Subtle for your new hardwood floors and finishing. Hit up calvinandsettle.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. boneandjointtn.org is where to go. So a complete collapse in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter for the Tennessee Volunteers at Arkansas after gaining what was a 13-0 lead in the first half. And it looked like the game plan was going exactly as Tennessee had wanted it to, but it completely fell apart, Zach. And now I think Jeremy Pruitt is squarely on the hot seat because of not one, but two wrong decisions on not kicking a field goal when down 11 points in the fourth quarter. We'll talk about the quarterbacks. We'll talk about Jeremy Pruitt's future in general. But I think, and we'll play the video right now, I think Jeremy Pruitt not kicking a field goal with 5 minutes left to go up to go down by 8 and then get the ball back to extend the game was a really bad decision. Here's Jeremy Pruitt when he was yesterday asked about his decision to not kick that field goal.
Well, obviously you always go back and do quality control each game, and when you're down 2 scores, there's a thought and all that. Do you take the points? Do you go for it? Saturday I elected to go for it. The reasoning was where we were at on the field, and we felt like we had a good call for that down and distance. We had a good idea for what they would be in. Even in the back end of the game, there was a thought when there's 40 seconds left to kick a field goal and do an onside kick there. Look, obviously it didn't work, right? So when it don't work, you want to do the other thing. But it's something that we philosophically we look at all during the off season and see where we're at, and we know kind of what we're going to do during the game. So yeah, if I had it back, absolutely I would kicked it now. We didn't get the first down.
So that's Jeremy Pruitt's answer yesterday. So he had like 48 hours or almost 48 hours to think about how he was going to answer that question. Zach, how do you think he did of the answer?
Yeah, well, I think the easiest, and I think for a lot of Tennessee fans, they were probably screaming, take the points, take the points, take the points, live to play another day. Because, as I rewatched the game, the second half, they did after that, there was 4 minutes and 32 seconds or around there when they decided to go for it on fourth down, a slant call that just popped up in the air. It was poorly thrown.
Well, it wasn't poorly thrown. One, it was should have been pass interference because the Arkansas defensive back got there early, and that caused the ball to pop up in the air and then be intercepted. But they should have kicked the field goal.
It was poorly thrown, in my opinion, and didn't catch. It did pop up in the air. He actually shouldn't have gone to that receiver. He probably should have gone to the outside receiver, who I felt like was more open. But look, that's hindsight. That's what you do when you rewatch these games, and I think it's tough because they're going in the opposite direction. Like, they've lost 4 straight. It's the polar opposite of what they were doing last year at the end of the season when they were winning consecutive games. And Jeremy Pruitt, you have to scratch your head he had high expectations. He knows this job. We'll talk about the quarterback and the coaching situation here later on in the show. But I think it's a struggle when you have a 13-point lead, then you yield and give up a ton of points in the third quarter, and you're playing from behind. They're just not good enough. They're not good enough. And that's a struggle. And on top of bad coaching decisions, or at least questionable coaching decisions, you're going to get L's. That's what you're going to do. You're going to accrue losses.
Well, and Rob says 0 halftime adjustments there. And then I agree. And then Kyle says they played nobody on that win streak. This was expected by everyone except Vol fans. I don't think so. Indiana's a good football program, and they beat Indiana. Kentucky was a good, tough team last year, and they beat Kentucky. I'm not saying they had an impressive winning streak. They won 8 games in a row. That's not easy to do, but they were able to beat the teams they were supposed to beat. That's step one of winning, of building a program. Win the games you're supposed to win. They were supposed to beat Kentucky last month, and they were supposed to beat Arkansas on Saturday, and they didn't. And you're saying that, Zach, that they're not very good. Tennessee is not very good. They don't seem like a well-coached team. There seems like a regression from the player development standpoint. There's a lack of energy and confidence around the players. It looks like nobody's having fun. At least last year when you watched this team, you knew Jawan Jennings could be a guy to rally his teammates up and go out there and make a few plays to drag them out of a sleepy situation. But here's also what a head coach is supposed to do, Zach. A head coach is supposed to put his team in opportunities to win the game. And twice against Arkansas, by not kicking field goals, he did not give his team an opportunity to win the game. He basically ended the game right there on the 25-yard line on 4th and 4 with 4.5 minutes to go, down 11. You kick the field goal. Your defense had been playing better in the fourth quarter. They had 4 sacks in the fourth quarter alone. So you kick the field goal and you make it an 8-point game. Now the defense has to get a stop. Then you get the ball back. You can go down and potentially get a touchdown to score. Because guess what happened after the Vols didn't get that 4th down? The defense got a stop. The offense got the ball back. And then went down to the 10-yard line. And guess what? It was still an 11-point game because Jeremy Pruitt failed his team by making the wrong decision. He also should have kicked the field goal with 30 seconds left on the clock, because once again, in a situation where if you don't get points now, like the clock is running away, and he lost the game for his team by not kicking the field goal twice. And that's just it's malpractice. And you can't.
He didn't lose the game. Rob's right. 24 points in the third quarter lost the game.
But
so
Zach,
he didn't help them get back into the game.
No,
but the game was lost, Austin, in the third quarter when they scored 24.
But he definitely cost his team an opportunity to do something.
But there's a difference, right? So he didn't lose them the game. The defense lost them the game in the third quarter. And the lack of offensive production. No, listen, you had your turn.
Okay.
In the third quarter, the defense let up big plays, and the offense was nowhere to be found with different quarterbacks, obviously, right? Once Garantano goes out, now you're working behind the 8 ball, which we'll discuss the quarterback situation here in a second. But he didn't help. He didn't lose the game. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt lost the game. He prevented them from coming back and having the opportunity to win. And I think that's the frustrating part, is because that is controlled by one singular man. That's the head coach.
Yes.
And Jeremy Pruitt, with all of the ups and downs through the roster and COVID and all that other stuff, you have got to be really good as a head coach to help your team, right? And I think that he's slipped up in a lot of – and this is tough because Arkansas is a winnable game. I'm not so sure Auburn and A&M are winnable games for Tennessee.
No, I wrote something down over the weekend after thinking about what happened in Tennessee versus Arkansas, and I want to get to that here in a second because I feel very strongly about this. But first, let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse Nashville and renterswarehouse.com. They're the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. And a lot of people have lost their job or lost a significant amount of income due to the pandemic, and Renters Warehouse can help you out by helping you and your family create extra cash flows. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
A to Z Sports. We are powered. If you look, we talk about a lot of things when it comes to the Tennessee Volunteers. I think this is starting to really get to Tennessee fans, the lack of the progress that they're making in a very weird year, but in no way should they be 2-4 right now. That's very disappointing.
Yes, 4 straight losses and just getting demolished in the third quarter in all those games. So I wrote down over the weekend, and I do think Pruitt, by not kicking the field goal twice, cost his team a chance to come back and win that game, because they were actually there. Like, the football was there in the right position on the field to make those plays. They just didn't have the first score, and that would have been a 42-yard field goal. And then him by saying in the postgame that they thought they weren't close enough for Samaglia when he had kicked 2 field goals longer than that earlier in the game was also a really bad answer. But, Zach, I think the Arkansas game for Jeremy Pruitt is the 2-point conversion chart game against Florida for Butch Jones. For me, that day in 2015, when Butch Jones had a 27-14 lead in the fourth quarter and decided to not go for 2 to make it a 2-touchdown game where they could not lose by 1. And then he was like, well, the chart said this, the chart said that. That is the day, and you will remember this on radio the next Monday, I said Butch Jones ain't the guy. Well, the Arkansas loss and not kicking those field goals, among other things, not adjusting to the damn slant routes, mishandling quarterback positions for a long time. The Arkansas game for Jeremy Pruitt is my moment in that Florida 2015 game with Butch Jones, where I thought, and I know, Zach, Jeremy Pruitt is it's over. He's going to get fired. I don't know if it's this year. I don't know when it's going to be. But he is not the guy. And it's not about if he'll get fired. It's all about when he will get fired. Jeremy Pruitt is not developing as a head coach. If he is costing your team chances to win games by his lack of good coaching decisions, then he can't be the guy. He's not it. And so now Tennessee is in this abyss where there's a lot of money that's on Jeremy Pruitt's contract. There's a lot of years on Jeremy Pruitt's contract. There's the COVID pandemic, and that's going to be the end-all excuse. But again, Arkansas 2020, that's when I learned and officially solidified for me that Jeremy Pruitt will never be there.
Well, maybe it was it the same moment when Derek Dooley trotted 13 guys out on the field versus LSU?
That was year one. So you weren't
it was
thinking,
just foreshadowing. It wasn't the moment, but it was foreshadowing.
Well, and I'm trying to remember, like, if I can, I don't necessarily have that one moment for Derek Dooley. I think it could have been at Mississippi State. It could have been where he lost to Missouri in 4 overtimes because they couldn't stop anybody. But I do know there was a single moment for Butch Jones, and right now I've got the single moment for Jeremy Pruitt, and it's both in the 3rd year of these guys' career at Tennessee.
All right, well, we'll have that conversation later, not right now. I appreciate the honesty of the moment. I think it's tough because I'm not sure how everybody, and especially the people in position to make some decisions, will feel about that in the same way. I think we got to figure out here a couple of games. I'll say my opinion later in the show. I don't want to jump ahead like just now. But look, I think he has to get better as earning the trust of the fan base. And how you earn the trust of the fan base is not making the mistakes like you did in the Arkansas game. Right? The armchair quarterback or the armchair coach at home making those decisions and you failing on the field is really an easy way to turn them against you, right? Because if I can sit here on my couch and say kick the field goal, then at least push this to a 1-possession game with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. If I can say that and everybody else can say that, and then offensively, you weren't doing real great, and then on the play, the 4th down play, you don't do real great. That, I think, hurts Jeremy Pruitt even more. You got to make the right decisions. You got to put your players in the best possible chance to get back into that game, and he didn't do that.
No, he didn't do that at all. He hurt his team. And then he has a bad excuse in the post-game show of we weren't close enough. You absolutely were close enough. You just made the wrong decision where everybody on Twitter knew what the right decision was. Even Derek Mason earlier in the day was in a similar – Derek Mason and Vandy were down 10. They kicked the field goal to put it a 7-point game to go try to get the ball back to go down and tie. And Harrison Bailey – we'll get into the quarterbacks here in a little bit, but Harrison Bailey is put his team in an opportunity to go down there and do something to have points on the board, but the coaching decisions held back the entire team. And you're right, the 3rd quarter on defense was absolutely abysmal. And it once again, Jeremy Pruitt looks like he's in over his head. He looks like he's lost as a head coach. And this is year 3. In year 3, you're supposed to have figured out these things. He's not a rookie head coach anymore. He coached under Saban. He coached under Jimbo. He coached under Mark Richt. He's supposed to know how to manage the game. He's supposed to understand the quality control.
But he's not he's a new head coach. And Robert says Pruitt's a great coordinator, but not a head coach material.
Is he even a great coordinator? Because the defense is struggling mightily.
He's had some good. That's the lie. That's wrong. You can admit you're wrong on that. He was a really good defensive coordinator when he was a coordinator. His job right now is a head coach, not a coordinator. So get that right.
Okay. All right. I mean, but I think it's fair to question what Jeremy Pruitt – Jeremy Pruitt seems in over his head as the CEO of a program, and I don't trust him to be able to turn this around because I see zero juice in the program. I feel nothing from these players. There's no Jawan Jennings out there to get the guys fired up to go out there and give that high-end effort to go make some plays to turn the game around.
Well, and that goes into the next question that we're going to ask you, and that is, who should the Vols start at quarterback moving from here on out? Because Garantano, concussion protocol, he's a question, probably not going to play. So you got to have a backup. What's your backup plan? This is actually a better discussion than I think everybody knows, kick the field goal, move on. But who should Jeremy Pruitt anoint the starting quarterback for Texas A&M this weekend? Because you need a leader. You got problems. Who should it be?
All right, we'll get to that answer and your comments in a second. But first, Zach, tell the people about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle is where you need to get your hardwood floors. 615-448-6414. If you are somewhere around Middle Tennessee, they can help you out. From Columbia to Spring Hill to Nashville to Gallatin, they can help you. Antioch, Clarksville, they'll make it work. CalvinandSubtle.com, all around Middle Tennessee. Rip up your old carpets and put in brand new hardwood floors, cost-effective hardwood floors this holiday season. Go to your wife and say, look, let's change this house. 2020 has been rough. We need a new look in 2021 instead of just moving, upgrade, and renovate. CalvinandSubtle.com or 615-448-6414.
A to Z Sports. Don't forget mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. Check them out there. Mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. Asking the question, who should be the starter at quarterback against Texas A&M for the Vols? Real quick, James says, Austin is the worst type of upset UT fan, one with a microphone. Well, I've got a singular question for James that James can answer. I would love, James Tyson, for you to show me proof of actual progress in this football program. Somewhere. Give me some progress that you've seen Jeremy Pruitt from when he took the job to where he's at now, and we can justify if that's good enough for anybody, really, because it's year 3 and they're going backwards. Sure, they won 8 games in a row, but now they're looking like they're going to lose 8 straight. So I'll let James fill out his answer there. But who should start for the Vols at quarterback against Texas A&M? I think if Jared Garantano can clear concussion protocol, which he was in concussion protocol for precautionary reasons. That's what it sounded like. It was not like this guy did not know where he was and he's out. It was he took a hit. Let's be careful and not put him in there from the training staff. That's what I took away from it. I think Jared Garantano at some point later in this week is likely to pass concussion protocol. I think Jared Garantano is the best quarterback on the roster, and he should be the starter against Texas A&M because I want
You're
to
wearing
see
a straight jacket.
I want to see Harrison Bailey as much as possible, but you saw the offense completely change with Brian Maurer and Harrison Bailey in there. They will be more likely to score points with Jared Garantano being the quarterback. So if he can clear concussion protocol, Jared Garantano is a starter for me.
Take your straight jacket off because you're insane. You got a gag ball in your mouth because you're locked up. You're insane. You're in one of those padded rooms. They're not going to let you out. You're locked up because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again and expect a different result, that's what you are. And if you're trotting Jared Garantano out there and expecting to win games and for him to turn a corner and not throw the ball in the dirt and not overthrow guys or not throw picks or not get stripped, then your ass is crazy because that's exactly what you're going to get. You have to throw, and we are at this point, Austin, you said it. Your mindset has changed about Jeremy Pruitt. The mindset needs to change about this season. You have got to throw Harrison Bailey out and say, this is our starter for the rest of the season. Whether he's ready or not, here he comes. Because he is the only thing that can keep these Tennessee fans involved. And, right, like, I am not a Tennessee fan, right? I went to Ole Miss. I watch all of the games. But I am becoming very, very disinterested in this team and in this program. And I have a vested interest in it. We have a business based on it.
Sure.
I am becoming extremely disinterested. I can't imagine the lack of interest for Vol fans once you keep trotting out Garantano and expecting to win games. You've lost 4 straight, probably going to lose 6 straight, and then go into Vandy. Here's the hope, because this will lead us into our next conversation here very soon. You have got to get Harrison Bailey ready for Vandy. Because if Tennessee loses to Vandy, that's where I think big decisions are made. Because losing to Vandy, especially in a year where Vandy the trajectory is not to win a game, that means that your fan base will get pissed off. The James Tysons of the world will start to run over to the other side and say, all right, I'm all in. We lost to Vandy. We blow. We suck. But you cannot keep trotting out Jarrett. His Tennessee career should be done. He should never play another snap unless Harrison Bailey can't go or Brian Maurer can't go. And it's not any fault of his own. He had his opportunity, but that's what has to happen. Harrison Bailey is the only way to keep this fall fan base and this community together.
I think Brian Maurer is so far out of the conversation. I think there's only two quarterbacks who should take snaps outside of like both guys getting hurt, and that is Jarrett Guarantano and Harrison Bailey are the only guys who should take a snap at quarterback this year. Brian Maurer is over. Brian Maurer can't do anything. Brian Maurer is in constant freakout mode. And they've already told you enough about JT Shrout by leaving him in Knoxville when they went to go play in Fayetteville, Arkansas on Saturday after a bye week.
Harrison Bailey's the answer.
All right, so let's read some comments here because we're asking you guys the question, who should start at quarterback against Texas A&M? Is it Harrison Bailey or is it Jarrett Guarantano? Let's see. Scotty Cunningham says you have to build for the future. Season is a wash now, so that's a vote for Bailey. Cole says Harrison Bailey needs to start. Kenny says Austin thinking Jarrett Guarantano is the best quarterback is insane. Bailey is easily the best quarterback. Look, you cannot actually know for a fact that Harrison Bailey is the best quarterback on the roster right now. Does Harrison Bailey have a higher ceiling than Jarrett Guarantano? Absolutely. But they were scared to let Harrison Bailey throw until they absolutely had to when they actually shouldn't have. They should have kicked the field goal on 4th and 4. Like, they are so timid with Harrison Bailey.
But Kenny has the point, right? Is you know what you're getting with Guarantano, and that's a loss. It's not a win. It's a loss. You don't know what you're going to get with Harrison Bailey from start to finish. They haven't done that.
Jarrett Guarantano in the last 6 quarters against Alabama and in the first half against Arkansas has not been the problem. Jarrett Guarantano has actually thrown the ball well. He's made good decisions. He hasn't turned it over. He's actually made great decisions with his legs and picked up first downs. The Kentucky game is squarely on Jarrett Guarantano. The last 2 are not. Like, Tennessee fans were yelling at Brian Maurer, and they were like, why? Before we knew Jarrett Guarantano was concussed, everybody wanted Jarrett Guarantano in that second half against Arkansas because he would have helped you win that game or come back. They're too scared with Harrison Bailey. They're not going to let the guy throw. They're not going to let the guy do anything. If they want to try to compete with A&M, which I don't think they're going to regardless, if they want to try to compete with Auburn and then beat Vanderbilt, then I think Jarrett Guarantano is the starter, and then Harrison Bailey is the backup once things get out of hand to get the guy experience.
How does that help Harrison Bailey in the future? Because Jarrett Guarantano is not coming back next year. He will never play Tennessee football after this year.
Thank goodness.
So what does that do for your future?
I think
2-4, Austin. The season's over.
Everybody
and their mother knows that the Tennessee Volunteers football season is done. It means nothing, right? It doesn't matter. So for the rest of the season, I would rather have Harrison Bailey in there. And look, we didn't know how this whole season was going to go, but now we do. So if you're treating Harrison Bailey, because he's not going to get any live reps until next season, and next season you're going to have to win games because I think Jeremy Pruitt will be the head coach going into next year, but Harrison Bailey needs to get as much in-game experience, whether it's against a top 25 team or whether it's against Vanderbilt. It doesn't matter. He has to get as much experience, and the head coach should know that.
Yeah, Jacob says, why is it that when Guarantano plays good, they don't throw the ball downfield, but when he's off, they throw the ball a lot? I think there's a big issue right now with trust, and I think B. Hall puts it really well. It's simple. No one on the team trusts each other. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think the coaches trust any quarterback there. I think Jim Chaney is coaching and play calling so conservatively that they're screwing up their chances to win. They're so predictable, and then the defense can't keep up with anybody after the offense can't stay on the field in the third quarter. And that's why they're getting blown out.
But Tony, the overall problem with this program, has been they haven't had a quarterback since Josh Dobbs. That's the problem with this program.
And
it's not – look, they've had a lot of other things and issues, but the number one problem issue has been they have not found a good quality quarterback since Josh Dobbs. So they better start searching.
And that's their own fault. And
that's fine. But
yes.
Start searching today instead of next season or in the offseason. Harrison Bailey should start against Texas A&M. And if he doesn't and Jeremy Pruitt keeps throwing out Garantano, then his ass deserves to be fired.
Here's a comment. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but on Raging, I'm just going to go that. Raging Iguana. It just looked weird together. Winky and Friend both need to be fired. Absolutely agreed. Chris Winky is worthless. Will Friend is only just that to Jeremy Pruitt, a friend and a buddy. Those guys are failing at their jobs as quarterback coach and offensive line coach, respectively. They're not doing anything. There's talent, I think, on the offensive line with all those guys they have up there that are highly recruited that had offers from any other SEC school they wanted to go to, but they collectively cannot play together. Darnell Wright looks awful. Wanye Morris looks slow. The Brandon Kennedy's having snap infractions as a seventh-year senior, and then Cade Mays can't figure out where to be. There's so much confusion with the offensive line and inconsistency. Will Friend needs to be out of there. He clearly can't coach offensive line. And I don't know what Chris Winky has been doing the last 2 years as quarterback coach because he hasn't developed Brian Maurer. He hasn't developed JT Shrout. He hasn't developed Jarrett Garantano. And I guess it's fair to say he hasn't had the opportunity as much with Harrison Bailey, but maybe that's a good thing because now maybe Chris Winky hasn't had the opportunity to ruin Harrison Bailey like he did the other guys.
Well, so that leads us into our next conversation. I want to read a comment from Seth because I thought it was a good one. A good one besides the first sentence because I do think it is about the quarterback. But he says, forget the quarterback discussion. So, and that's fine. We'll leave that in the past. I think we got through that. So there you go, Seth. He says, we need to discuss our fans. And him saying this from a Vols perspective. Everyone jumping the gun on coaches. It's the reason why Tennessee can't rebuild. What coach with a proven record would want to come deal with these fans? Seth, you get the love of the show. Okay, Seth, I think that was an excellent point that look, the fans, Tennessee as a whole, they're restless, they're irritated, they can't get back on track. The issue, though, is Jeremy Pruitt said this last week or the week before. He knew what he was getting himself into, right? When you sign up for the job, it was an opportunity after a lot of things had fallen through with Tennessee and the coaching search and the athletic director, right? He knew that this was going to be an uphill climb. But you have to make the right decisions and you have to turn the corner. Because if you don't turn the corner, you have to leave. It will not work, right? That threshold. And the issue is it's kind of a catch-22. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And that's what Tennessee has been in over the last, I would say, several coaching searches and coaching hires.
And Charles says you got to open the checkbook. Speaking of checkbook, I have the buyout number. If Jeremy Pruitt is fired this season, I've got the buyout number, and we'll ask you guys a question. Does Jeremy Pruitt deserve to coach the Vols in 2021 as of right now? Does Jeremy Pruitt deserve to coach the Vols next season as of right now? But first, guys, I'm going to tell you about the Bone and Joint Institute. A lot of doctors at the Bone and Joint, Tennessee guys, went to med school at UT and undergrad at UT. boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. If you do have that injury that happens in life, which it's guaranteed to happen to somebody you love, make sure they get, and you get the best care possible from the beginning to the end. They've got the doctors there. They do the testing there. They do the surgeries there and the rehab process all in their beautiful building in Franklin, Tennessee, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, the question that we are posing to you guys on this Tuesday, talking Tennessee Volunteers, is right now, do you believe that Jeremy Pruitt deserves to be the head coach of Tennessee in 2021? Rob says yes. Zach says yes. Charles says no. Daryl says yes. Jeff says, here's the issue with all these coaches on the hot seat. He says, Alex says yes. I think this season from Raging Iguana, absolutely from LeBron Wingo. Hunter says yes. Sean says, can you afford for him not to?
And
Holland says yes.
And that's why can you afford for him not to is why we phrased the question of does he deserve the extra year?
Okay.
Because here's the buyout, and I got this from Brent Hubbs yesterday in the Midday 180. The buyout number for Jeremy Pruitt and his staff is like $15 or $16 million. And the situation is that they gave him the extension this year, which I don't think should be relevant in the conversation of should you move on from a guy or not, because the extension is for recruiting purposes. But Jeremy Pruitt's buyout is for 60% of his remaining salary. So the extension does burn you there because that's 60% of 2 more years is basically what they got you. So their last check to Butch Jones is in January 21. And then if you do move on from Jeremy Pruitt, that would be $15 or $16 million for Pruitt's coaching staff and him to be let go. And that is way too steep in a COVID year where the university and the athletic department is losing about double that in revenue in this 1 year alone. So they can't afford it. And I tweeted this Saturday night. I would rather fire a coach a year early than keep him a year too late, because we saw what happened when you fired Butch Jones a year too late. I think they fired Derek Dooley at the appropriate time. It was 3 years. Like they gave Dooley an opportunity. It was 3 years, and then he clearly was not the guy, and they moved on, right? Like I don't think they hired the best guy with Butch Jones, but like I said earlier in the show, Zach, my Butch ain't it moment was in year 3, 2015 at Florida with the ruined chart game. That's when I knew Jones wasn't it. Then he won 9 games the next year, but it was a disappointment because of Josh Dobbs, the point you brought up. Then in 2017, it all burnt and went to hell. So they should have moved on from Butch Jones. And I can say this now because I said this then. They should have fired Butch Jones after he lost to Vanderbilt in the last game of 2016. That was a time to move on from Butch Jones. They kept him for 1 more year, and it festered, and it got ugly, and they had to amputate. And now they're sitting with Jeremy Pruitt. I don't think he's the guy. I would rather move on from him sooner rather than later.
So you talked about the logistics of it, right? Like, and I think Holland and Hawks on Periscope is right, says that Tennessee will have him for 2 more seasons. I think that is more likely.
Oh, and I agree. Unfortunately.
So what are you going to do, right? So you're going to cry over it because, like, let's understand this. They're not going to fire him after this season. He will not get fired. I think that the closest he could get would be to losing the rest of his games, including Vandy, because he's going to lose to Florida. I mean, that's a guarantee. But if he loses to Vandy, then that's going to be a really hard offseason. But, and here's the caveat. Because everybody is experiencing the hardships of COVID in 2020, there will be grace. Grace for 1 season, right? You will get an extra year because of 2 things. Everybody has experienced the hardship and knows, well, that's not fair. I mean, we were working under unfortunate circumstances. We couldn't prepare for that. We didn't have fall camp. We didn't have spring practice. We were locked up. We had to do testing. We had to social distance, all that stuff. So they're going to get the benefit of the doubt in that sense. And then the second thing, which is probably the most important because, and you mentioned it, is the money. Universities are losing money. They're not making money this year. Mm-hmm. So that would be a bad business decision to lose money in a COVID year and then pay more money to go pay more money to a new coach.
Yeah.
So it is not happening. Let's put our logic on, guys. Jeremy Pruitt will be the coach this year, and he will be the coach next year. Maybe he will even be the coach the following year. So you got to have to deal with him. That's why I'm criticizing his decision-making, not necessarily – and look, coaching staff, I think you guys Everybody's brought up some really good points of who they need to get rid of, if it's Winky, if it's Friend, whatever, right? I think you can make those adjustments. But Jeremy Pruitt is going to be the head coach. And the third and final reason why, and listen up and listen good, you talk about Friend, Philip Fulmer. Jeremy Pruitt got Philip Fulmer out of a bond. Philip Fulmer knows that, right? Because Philip Fulmer, he had to clean up a bunch of mess once the athletic director and chancellor and the Butch Jones stuff, all that stuff, and Leach, all of those things. Philip Fulmer is not going to jump ship. The one thing we do know about Philip Fulmer, he is loyal. He is a loyal Tennessee soldier. I mean, that's what he is.
Yeah.
And so knowing all three of those things, I'm not a Tennessee fan, but my advice to all Tennessee fans, pony up and get ready for Jeremy Pruitt to continue to be your head coach.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like I that's why I went and looked up the buyout number, because I wanted to be specific. And $16 million to buy out Pruitt and his staff is unrealistic. I know that he's not going to lose his job unless there's some type of cause, right? And there's that whole like for cause, with cause. Pruitt's not going to screw up that way off the field to cost himself that buyout. Chase, I want to read some comments here on A to Z Sports. Chase also says, I don't want to judge Pruitt fully until all the starters are players he recruited. That's not how it works, though. Like a good coach comes into a program and takes players that aren't his and wins them over and makes them better.
But he will. He'll get his wish.
Oh, Chase absolutely will get his wish, but that's not how it should work.
But it's how it works now because of COVID.
But you see, COVID is the excuse that I hate that it's
But
valid.
it is, right?
No,
but it's
I
reality. I'm like, right, let's be realists.
And that's why I said I hate that it's valid. It's a valid excuse. But as Holland Hawks brings up, Arkansas, prime example of what Sam Pittman's been able to do. Now, what's the difference in Arkansas, Zach? Felipe Franks. Felipe Franks was highly recruited out of high school, a graduate transfer from the SEC who had starting experience. The difference in Arkansas and Jeremy Pruitt is the quarterback. And Kelkin's right there. It all comes down to quarterback. And it does. And Charles adds, Caden Salter says he's 100% in. And that's what I said a few weeks ago, I think, after they lost to Kentucky. Jeremy Pruitt's tenure at Tennessee will be defined by either Harrison Bailey or Caden Salter. And if both of those guys cannot have some type of immediate success, I'm not saying immediate like amazing win the East success, just immediate success in some form or fashion, Jeremy Pruitt can't do it. And I do think firing Chris Winkie and maybe moving on from Jim Chaney makes sense. What about T. Martin? Can T. Martin have a more elevated role on the coaching staff moving forward? Because when you look at the coaching staff and you look at the player positions, what's one position group that has been pretty solid? The wide receivers. Like the wide receivers right now are getting screwed because they're getting open. They can make plays. They don't have a quarterback to get them the ball. Last year, the wide receivers were the leaders on the team. I think T. Martin should get more responsibility moving forward because he's doing a good job overall.
Marquez Callaway is getting some playing time on Sunday night for the Saints.
Yeah. And Juwan Jennings wasn't that like super athletic of a guy, but he was a really good football player. And they don't have the contagious personality on offense that rubs off to the other players like they had with Juwan Jennings.
I do think it's funny because, and this is more of an SEC conversation, which I love to have. They have got to change their coaching staff. I think we're like, if you're not going to change your head coach, you have to change your coaching staff. You have to put Harrison Bailey in this week and see what you got. If Salter could be the guy next year, find out who Harrison Bailey is now because your season's over. You're 2-4. You're done. Okay. So that's my advice to Jeremy Pruitt. And then they'll shake things up in the offseason to try to improve and justify. I look at everybody's like, get freeze. And that's kind of like a pipe dream. That's a very like disgruntled fan saying, hey, I need improvement. But look what happens, right? Look at Mississippi State and Ole Miss. You can get a really good one and a really bad one. And we don't know what Mike Leach is going to be at Mississippi State. And we don't know what Lane Kiffin is going to be. But one of the two is going to be bad, if not both of them are going to be bad. So Like, it's a big risk. Continue to build and figure out. And what I believe it was Chase or whoever the commenter was to say, I want to see Pruitt with Pruitt's guys.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get an opportunity too. So then in the next couple of years, formulate your opinion on that. And if you have to reset, damn it, you got to reset again.
Yeah. I'm with you, but I also do think, and there's something about this. What Ole Miss and what Mississippi State did is they at least went offense, and I do think like Nick Saban's different, right? Nick Saban's a complete outlier, but I think in the SEC right now, and even in the NFL, the Titans are about to go through this again. Is you gotta have to have an offensive guy as your head coach because the quarterback position is that important. The quarterback position
and it gets
is everything. And so
long ago the day, you like Nick Saban is kind of the outlier, right?
Absolutely.
And Kirby Smart is also an outlier.
Right. But look at what has held the Georgia Bulldogs back.
Offense.
The quarterback has. Because Jake Fromm, vanilla. Like not even vanilla bean, just vanilla. And they let Justin Fields get out because they didn't know what to do with him. And they were playing it safe with Jake Fromm. And they tried to get Jamie Newman to transfer. Something's going on with JT Daniels and he's not playing. And they can't do anything with Stetson Bennett or DeJuan Mathis. Georgia has the same problem as a lot of teams that have problems. Look at Dan Mullen and look at Florida. Kyle Trask couldn't start in high school. Kyle Trask could not beat out Felipe Franks until Dan Mullen got there and got some coaching. Look at what Jimbo Fisher's finally doing at Texas A&M. Somebody called me out earlier in the show about my comment about Jimbo Fisher having the worst contract in all college football as a head coach. It's still not a good contract, but damn it, he's earning it right now, and they're in a good spot.
If he can start stacking these years, that will be the justification of a 10-year contract. It's like Gruden, right? How long does it take to get your team to a lot closer to where they ever were, right? Texas A&M needs to be in the conversation at the end of the season to be in a college football playoff. That's all they're trying to vie for. And if Jimbo Fisher can do that in 7 or 8 years, then that's a good contract. So that's remained to be seen. I think on the Tennessee side of things, and I think this is important, Keith, Tennessee has to be fearful of guys like Keith because Keith being very open and honest, he says, I'm 52, been a fan his entire life, and he's done with the embarrassment. It's too boring and not worth my time to waste on them anymore. I don't know if Keith is just speaking out of emotion or if he's speaking out of honesty, but there's a lot of Keiths out there in Knoxville, in Tennessee, all around the country, and Tennessee has got to do a good job of and it's got to be consistent, right? The inconsistency has killed them. You can win 8 straight. That's all well and good and beat Indiana, but you can't follow that up and start the season 2-4.
And to Keith's point about them being boring, do you know what Tennessee's done on the first play of the second half in all 6 games? Same play, off tackle to the left with Eric Gray. Same play. Every game, all 6 games, first snap of the second half of the Vols offense, off tackle left. What the hell is that? Like every time? Are you kidding me? Like that's so unimaginative and just awful coaching. Like the first couple of games, sure. Then counter off of it because guess what? Your opponent's watching film. So are you waiting until game 8 to run a play action on the first snap of the second half because you established it 7 times? Like there's so many aspects of this program that make people want to scoop their eyeballs out with their salad spoon. And it's so awful to watch because there seems to be zero fight, zero urgency, zero give a damn from the coaching staff. And excuses are, well, we're struggling to tackle guys because, we had a lot of guys out from COVID and contact tracing. And, our kicker can't kick that far, even though he's made 2 kicks early in the game that were longer. It's just so bad. So bad.
George says, I'm starting to rake my yard at the end of the third quarter. Here's where my excuses go out the window. If he says Harrison Bailey's not ready one more GD time, that's where I would be fed up because the only way that he's going to be a get ready is to play, right? That's what life is about. And you have the rest of the season left. This is your opportunity, okay? Whether he gets the crud knocked out of him against A&M and Auburn and Vandy, he'll at least learn some things in the 2 games to get ready for Vandy, to get ready for Florida, and then more importantly, to get ready for the offseason and next season.
Well, and here's the thing, is Jeremy Pruitt has an opportunity to make us all change our minds, or to make us all, the 50 minutes that we've talked about Jeremy Pruitt today.
I don't know.
He did it last year. And they were what, 2-6?
They didn't play A&M and Auburn at the end of the year.
Yeah, I get it. But
there is no opportunity, Austin.
No, you're okay. Fair.
There's not.
You're right.
So he had no opportunity.
It's over.
The only opportunity that he has to make is that he can make big boy decisions and say, all right, this year is cash. We're going to see what Harrison Bailey's about. Anybody want to see? Do you want to see Harrison Bailey, Austin?
Well, it's selling.
I'm asking you, you went to Tennessee. You have a vested interest. Do you want to see Harrison Bailey the rest, regardless if it's a good thing for the team or not? Do you want to see Harrison Bailey the rest of the year?
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Tuesday. We need everybody's help. On our Takes Too Long Trivia Tuesday. It doesn't take that long. We've gotten faster at it. But everybody, we have 10 questions, and everybody has an opportunity to answer. No Googling. We have 10 questions. We are trying to get to 8-2 again. Right now, we are 72% on the season. We are 50 correct, 19 incorrect as a show, as a unit. So it's time for Trivia Tuesday here on a Tuesday. But first, Zach, tell the people about the Tucker Agency.
Yeah, TuckerTN.com. They can save you money anywhere in Tennessee. All you have to do is email will@TuckerTN.com. Will and his team, it's Nashville's independent insurance agency, life insurance, home insurance. They've got renter's insurance. They will help you out. Change your policy. You probably don't know how much you're paying. That's also a problem, right? The average customer that emails will@TuckerTN.com saves 20%. Wouldn't you want 20%, especially coming up in the holiday season? Put a couple $100 extra back into your pocket. That can happen with the Tucker Agency. TuckerTN.com is the website, or just simply email will@TuckerTN.com. Heard about you on A to Z Sports. How do I save money? His team will help you out from there.
All right, A to Z Sports, time for trivia. Everybody who has not been a part of our Trivia Tuesdays, it's fun. Everybody gets to jump in on these answers. So 50-19, that is our record. Orlando says he endured an hour of Vols talk just for this. That tells you how fun this Trivia Tuesday is for everybody. All right, Zach, we're 72.4%. Our season-long goal is to be above 70%. We got to go 8-2. I like our 8-2 last week. What we got to start off with? No Googling, everybody.
No Googling. Just be honest. We're trying to figure out these answers. All right. So it looks, as I skim over the 10, and they're 10 random ones, and I can't see the answers.
Right.
There is a lot of NBA questions today.
Okay.
All right. So, and there's some golf questions.
Hey, it's Masters Week.
Yeah, it is. Masters
Isn't it weird?
Week.
Masters Week.
And there's a women's single U.S. Open championship question.
Well, all right. So we can only miss one other question.
All right. Let's start with an easy one, though.
Okay.
A softball. Which was the first team to break the record? Ooh, actually, this is not a softball. Which was the first team to break the record set by the 1996 Bulls? 72 regular season victories against only 10 losses. I read that wrong, so I do know the answer.
Yeah, the Golden State Warriors.
I thought it was who did it before the Bulls, which I don't know. But it's not. It's who broke the Bulls' record, which is
Golden State Warriors.
The answer is the Golden State Warriors in 2016.
And we got our guy Hunter back today, who hung out with us at the mainstay for Titans-Bears game. As well. Hunter's been a really good wingman here on these trivia. All right, 1-0. 1-0.
All right, let's go to golf because of the Masters. When did Nick Faldo first win the Masters tournament? It's a great question. Has to do with Masters Week. What year did Nick Faldo first win the Masters tournament? This is a tough one. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, they're going to play it at some point this weekend on a replay or reference it. It's got to be in the 1980s, I would say, right? 80s, early 90s. It's got to be 80.
He's won 2, right? And Chad Tree says who? Nick Faldo. He's on the broadcast of the Masters. Dom says 1987. Rob says 89.
I'm saying late 80s. I do agree with late 80s. So now it's somewhat of a guessing game.
For some reason, I feel like it's 86 and 92.
86 and 92.
That's for whatever reason. But 87, we've got multiple 87 answers. And we've seen Ben Roethlisberger is on the COVID list. We've seen it.
Who do they play this week?
Not sure as of right now. I'll look it up. I think 87 sounds like a popular answer that we've had people talk about.
87?
Yeah.
Is that what we want to go with?
Yeah. Well, now Charles says 89 was the first one.
So do you want to go with 92?
Well, hold on. Rob says 89. He knows he won back-to-back. Man.
89 has been the popular, or 89 has been the most popular, right? Or has it been 87?
Rick says it was my first year at UT in 1989. Let's go with 89.
89, final answer?
Yeah.
When did Nick Faldo first win the Masters tournament? 1989.
Hey, how about that?
He won a playoff.
I'm glad Rick was around because Rick had some context to go along with it. That's good. If somebody asked me who won the Masters my first year in college, I would be like, I have no idea. I was drunk.
But that's good. That's good memory.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. This is going to be a tough one because with these, you never know with trades. Former NBA All-Star Jermaine O'Neal was drafted by which team in 1996? My gut says it's the Indiana Pacers, but he also played for a lot of different teams. Or what was it, Portland?
Donald said Portland. Man, Jermaine O'Neal in 96. The 96 draft was pretty solid.
I think it's the Pacers. I remember him as a Pacer early on, and then he jumped around.
Yeah, I think Pacer. What is this question leveled at? What's the difficulty?
Or could it be the Warriors? Not.
What's the difficulty on
Donald's coming with the Portland. He was traded to Indy, and Donald came out fast.
Yeah.
I think this is it's one of those Vince Carter back doors.
Okay. How is it labeled with a difficulty on this?
Medium. So that didn't help us.
No. If it was easy, then Pacers is an answer.
Let's go with Portland. Donald was too quick to the trigger. I think it is Indiana, but I think this is one of those backdoor questions.
I feel like Portland never keeps their own draft pick ever since Sam Bowie.
Let's go with Portland.
Okay, fine. Portland.
The answer is the Portland Trailblazers, baby.
All right. 3-0. We got to speed this up. We're taking
after being traded. Oh, so he was not traded to Indiana until 2000.
So you have like 4 years in Portland. That's interesting.
Yeah. All right, we move on. Hockey player Wayne Gretzky played for what team in the 1980s?
The Oilers?
It had to be the Oilers, right? The Edmonton Oilers, because then he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, so the Oilers.
And then the New York Rangers later on.
So Oilers? Yeah, Oilers, right?
Final answer, Oilers.
Everybody's saying Oilers. Alex Doherty, our Preds writer, says Oilers. We hired him for a reason. Okay?
Edmonton Oilers is correct.
All right, 4-0, baby. 4-0.
All right. This is a question that I think I know. Budding 1990s European basketball star Drazen Petrovic's career was cut short when he died in a car crash at 28 years of age. What was the last NBA team he played for? I believe it is the New Jersey Nets.
No idea. No clue.
A buddy's 1990s European basketball star Drazen Petrovic career was cut short when he died in a car crash at 28 years old. What was the last NBA team he played for? I believe it was the New Jersey Nets.
Rick said yes, but I don't know what he's saying yes to.
My
David
guess
says-
is the Nets. We've got a couple of Kings coming in,
I think Nets.
but
Rick,
my guess I'm going to take the wheel here. Okay,
Nets. That's fine. I'm
the
good with that.
answer is the New Jersey Nets. Boom!
All right, 5-0 start, baby. This is interesting. I don't think we've never started 5-0 in our Takes Too Long trivia here
Yeah.
on A to Z Sports. All right, the second half is coming, but first, let me tell you about a workout that's faster than our Takes Too Long trivia segment, and that is Mandu. Both of us, Zach, had a Mandu workout yesterday.
I did.
Apparently, you came in right after I was leaving. Mandu.com, your first workout is absolutely free. It only takes 15 minutes. It's full body electronic muscle stimulation. And guys, it's an amazing workout. I'm already feeling it. I'm sore. Got a good back workout, upper and lower. Hamstrings got worked hard yesterday. My full body got 5+ hours in the gym down to 15 minutes with the science of Mandu. Your first workout, absolutely free. And it's great during the pandemic because it's by appointment only. Mandu.com.
All right, A to Z Sports. This is Trivia Tuesday. Trivia Tuesday. We all work together. We're trying to get all the answers correct. It is a tough one, but we are 5-0 right now. All right, we've done very, very well.
Yep.
Next question. What Miami Heat player retired 2 days after Obama took office and is now Obama's golfing buddy? I believe this.
So Obama,
When did he take office?
he took office he won the 2008 election in the fall. So he took office in the 2009. So Alonzo
Mourning
was my first guess.
My first guess was Shane Battier, but that doesn't line up. It's not Shane Battier.
No, because was Alonzo Mourning ever on the LeBron teams?
No.
Okay. So when was the decision?
2010.
Right. So Alonzo would have been done by then. So I think it's Alonzo Mourning.
I believe that I'm going with that as well. It's not Shaq because he played.
And Shaq definitely had nothing to do with Obama.
Well, because he didn't retire then. He played for the Celtics and the Cavs. And
yes.
All right. So Alonzo Mourning.
So it's got to be.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah, 6-0, baby. 6-0. Okay. All right.
All right.
6-0 start.
Again, I told you this was they're random question, but there's a lot of NBA questions today, which I love. Who was the shortest player ever to play in the NBA? Who was the shortest player ever to play in the NBA? This is a medium question. And, obviously the first is Muggsy Bogues and then Nate Robinson.
Spud Webb was like 5. Muggsy was like 5'3". Nate Robinson was like 5'6". Nate Robinson was not
Yeah,
short.
I don't think it's Nate Robinson. I think it's between Muggsy, Spud Webb, or a guy we've never heard of.
I think I want to say Spud Webb was like more Nate Robinson. Tress says wait. Spud. I think it's not Earl Boykins. I think it's Muggsy. Muggsy was like 5'3".
Because that's what he was known for.
Yeah.
I agree. I go with
the only reason Muggsy and Sean Bradley were in Space Jam is because they were short in a tower. Like they weren't
it doesn't justify of the shortest player ever to play in the NBA. I mean, that's a tall task.
I don't think it's Spud Webb was too tall because he won the dunk contest, right? Like he was.
Right. I think we need to go Muggsy.
I think
Final answer.
Muggsy was like 5'2" or 5'3", 5'4" maybe. I'm going Muggsy.
Oh no. Well, is this his name?
Muggsy's a nickname.
Tyrone Bogues.
Yeah.
I saw Tyrone and I was like, no, where's Muggsy?
Muggsy's a nickname.
That's right. So we got it.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 7-0 start to trivia on this Tuesday.
We are rolling right
along.
Rolling.
We have to get one more to get at least 8-2. So we can't get too cocky. All right, Zach, let's do it.
All right. This is another NBA question. In 1969, which NBA player won his 11th NBA championship title to become a proud holder of the NBA player with the most championships won as a player in league history?
Bill Russell.
It has to be. This is an easy question. It has to be Bill Russell.
Yeah, OG coming in hot with Bill Russell, Jeff Rubel, Bill Russell. I think Bill Russell is the obvious answer here. Man, this is
Bill Russell is the correct answer.
all right. 8-0.
All right.
Can we sweep this thing?
I'm going to say no because the two hardest questions are upcoming.
Okay. Well, we at least got to our goal of 8-2. The percentage is at least going up today. That's
all right. This is women's singles. Oh, we may have had this before.
okay. Read it. And we'll see.
Who was the winner of the women's singles in the 2015 U.S. Open Championship?
I don't know. I don't know if we've had it or not.
I feel like we always get the same question, though. Have we had this question?
In 2014, 2015, same year. I don't know.
It says it's an easy question.
Rob says we've had it.
Who was the winner of the women's singles in the 2015 U.S. Open Championship?
It says
it's an easy question.
Then it would be like Serena.
I don't know if we've had 2015.
I don't think we've had this.
We haven't had this now that I think about it. Okay, so 2015, it's an easy question, right? It would be Serena.
Yeah.
It has to be Serena. Is that what we're going to go with?
I think it's Serena. 2015, yeah.
Serena?
Bobby says Rory McIlroy's girlfriend. It's now we're getting some Sharapova answers, but Maria Sharapova wasn't good that late.
No, yeah. Let's go with Serena Williams.
This is the second like boom of Serena dominating again.
Oh my gosh.
We missed it.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Flavia Pineda.
No. So we have not had that question because we have never heard you butcher that name before.
Well, Flavia is correct. I knew a girl was named Flavia.
You knew a girl once named Flavia. When she go to Ole Miss?
No, she's from Spain.
That makes more sense.
She lived in the Netherlands.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure it is a long story. Okay.
Let's see. Final question. So we missed that question.
Yeah, 8-1. Let's go ahead and get this 9-1. I like this.
All right. Hard question. NCAA basketball. But as of 2018, which former NBA player holds the record as the leading career scorer in the history of college basketball? Division I basketball.
One more time.
As of 2018, which former NBA player holds the record as the leading career scorer in the history of NCAA Division I basketball? It is labeled as a hard question.
Bill Walton?
I want to say, who's the guy who always who played for BYU?
Jimmer Fredette?
That was my initial gut reaction, was Jimmer Fredette, because he became after Adam Morrison. You got to think about guys that play for a long time. Smart for Bill Walton. That makes a lot of sense. He played 4 years. Or Doug McDermott. He also played a long time for Creighton.
So read the question one more time because it brings up an NBA player. So read it again.
As of 2018, which former NBA player holds the record as the leading scorer in the history of the NCAA Division I basketball?
So former NBA player takes JJ Redick out.
Yeah, I don't think it's JJ Redick. I think
Jimmer
Fredette would be perfect because he was cut maybe around this time.
I think it's.
Or it could be somebody like Pistol Pete or
Pistol Pete is not it because Pistol Pete did not play enough varsity seasons.
And Rob's right. It has to be a 4-year player.
Because remember,
it's either Doug McDermott, Adam Morrison, or Jimmer Fredette. And I think it's Jimmer Fredette.
It's not Pistol Pete because he was playing freshman ball. Remember? That's back.
I don't think it's Pistol Pete or Bill Walton. It's just labeled as a hard question, so it needs to be obscure.
We've got a lot of Pete Maravich answers, though. Like Rick usually isn't wrong.
Rick.
No, I'm serious. Rick usually isn't wrong.
So we want to go with Pistol Pete. He did. I mean, the former NBA thing. I mean, Pistol's not playing.
No, he's not. Playing in heaven.
What do you say? We go
I think
or Jimmer Fredette.
I don't think it's Jimmer Fredette. I think Jimmer Fredette might have passed it later on. Why 2018? Like, why is that?
Well, so I think it's 2018 because that's right around these questions.
Oh, so this is just a blatant guess by you?
What do you mean?
So you adding 2018 is you, not the website.
No, that is the website. But we had other questions that are like who, and it was Aaron Rodgers.
So, but you added, is 2018 listed in the question?
Yes.
Okay.
2018 is listed in the question. I read it. I'll read it one more time. As of 2018, which former NBA player holds the record as the leading scorer in the history of NCAA Division I basketball?
Okay, I think we go Pistol Pete.
And this is to go 9-1.
This is to go 9-1.
For the first time.
For the first time ever. We've gone 8-2 a couple times. This is for 9-1.
The answer is Pistol Pete Maravich.
Rick isn't wrong. I don't know if Rick Googles, but Rick isn't wrong.
Rick, don't you Google.
Jeff Rubel says Jimmer Fredette is 40th all time, by the way.
Damn. I thought he was a lot better.
9-1.
9-1. We're getting better. That? You know, and that was a lot. It was a lot of NBA basketball questions, which I love. And again, these are random. I find them on a website. The Flavia Pavlovette, I mean, we're never gonna get that.
Mm-mm.
But we did go 9-1. What is our new percentage? Because we got to get 70 by the time we get 100.
Yeah. So right now we are 74.6. So we jumped up by 2.2% today. We are 59-20. 59 correct, only 20 losses through 8. Excuse me, through 8 weeks. So we're doing a really good job.
Well, so this is the best part. This is the song that never ends, because once we get to 100 questions and we find our percentage, we'll start over and we have to beat that percentage.
Yeah. So we're getting close to 75%. Rick says that he did not Google that Pistol Pete was a member of his fraternity, and that's something they learned during pledging, which I believe it.
I think we have some honest people.
I do. I think we're good. I think we're good. All right, guys. Look, hell of a week in Tuesday trivia. 74.6%. That's a big day right there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Buck Rising will be back with A to Z Sports Primetime tonight at 8 o'clock. Also, the A to Z Sports Podcast Network's got new content out there. If you're a Vol fan, go check out the Big Orange Podcast. Charlie Burris and Zach Reagan did a great job with their episode that came out Monday morning. So we'll see you guys later. Talk to you tomorrow.
Adios.